everyone, this is Kat here from Crafted by Kat. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make the Noughts and Crosses cardigan. This is a long length cardigan using double knit weight yarn, a 5mm hook, and I've got a tape measure, a darning needle and scissors. I've made the video tutorial as a made to measure, so you can substitute out the yarn for a different weight and a different hook. I'm going to talk through how to adjust the sizing in the video. In terms of length, I suggest you work just until it reaches the length you want. So for me, I measured from the top of my shoulder down to the middle of my calf with a tape measure, and then I just reciprocated that on my panels. So I worked mine to be about 95 centimeters long, which was where I wanted it to land, but that will obviously change depending on your height. So we're going to talk through the different steps of how to adjust the sizing and how to do the basic stitch pattern. And then I'm going to show you how to assemble the cardigan and how to add the edging. There is a written pattern available on my Etsy shop and Ravelry, which talks you through each of the steps in detail and sets out the specific sizes and those starting chains that you'll need for each size. So depending on your learning style, you might prefer the written pattern. I'll pop a link below where you can purchase the pattern, but otherwise please feel free to follow along and let's make a lovely cardigan. So it's made up of 3 rows. We've got our double crochet rows, our double crochet, chain 1 and skip a stitch, that's called mesh rows, and then we've got our twisted double crochet rows. So I'm going to make up a little swatch to show you how to make this. This is one of my panels. I'll make a total of 2 front panels, a back panel and 2 sleeves. So I'll tell you a little bit more about how to construct the cardigan later on in this video, but for now we're just going to try and work a swatch of the stitch repeat so you know how to make each of your panels. Okay, so we're going to start off with a slip knot. I'm going to insert our hook and we're going to chain an even number of stitches. So I'm going to start off with a chain 20. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. And then whatever you've chained, you're then going to chain an extra 4 for your turning chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this pattern, you will always work an even number of chains to start off with. You'll always need an even number. It doesn't matter how big or small you're working. So we're now going to start working into the 4th chain on the hook. So you see we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. And we're going to work a double crochet. So I'll slow down there. So yarn over, going to insert your hook, going to yarn over, pull through, going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So we're working in US terms, so that is a US double crochet. So what you can see we've formed there is our first double crochet, which is the 1, 2, 3 chain, and we've got a skip chain there. So now we're going to chain 1, we're going to skip this next chain, and in the next chain we're going to work another double crochet. So we've got our yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the next chain, and in the next chain we're going to work double crochet. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 and chain 1. So this starts to form the mesh row. So this is our row 1. I'm just going to keep repeating that to the end. So working a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 and then work a double crochet in the next. I'm going to repeat that all the way to the end of the row. Okay, and now working into our last chain, I'm going to work a double crochet. Okay, so that is the end of our first row of our swatch. So you can see we've got the mesh row there. Now we're going to start on row 2. So we're going to chain 3 and we're going to turn. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work the twisted double crochet row. So we're going to yarn over. I'm going to insert our hook into this second chain space here. So we're going to skip this space and we're going to make a double crochet into this space. So yarn over, insert your hook into the space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So you can see it's sort of turned into a triangle shape. So we've got this space that we skipped here, and we're going to yarn over, and we're going to now make a double crochet into that first space. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that's our first twisted double, you can see there. So we're now going to keep working like that all the way across. So we're going to work into this next chain space here, and we're going to make a double crochet in there. And then we're going to do the same. We're going to work back into this space that we missed. So then make a double crochet into that space there. And that's your next twisted. So just going to keep working like that across. So into this next space, going to work a double crochet. And then we're going to work back into that space that we skipped and work another double crochet. Just going to keep repeating that all the way to the end of the row. Okay, so now we've got this final space at the end for where we made our first starting chain. So we're going to work a double crochet into that space, and we're going to work back into the one we skipped. And then to finish the row, we're going to work a double crochet into the top of this starting chain 3. Okay, there we go. And that is the end of row 2. So you can see we've got these lovely twisted double crochets all the way across. So let's start row 3. I'm going to start off with a chain 3. And we're going to turn. So on row 3, we're just making a double crochet all the way across. If you're familiar with the Noughts and Crosses pattern, you might be expecting to make a single crochet now, but for my Noughts and Crosses cardigan pattern, I've decided to go with double crochets on this row. So that's what we're going to do. You are very welcome to work single and stick with the traditional Noughts and Crosses pattern repeat if you like, but in this one I'm going to work doubles. So starting in the first stitch here, I'm going to make a double crochet. And then we're just going to work a double crochet in every stitch across. So this is a nice simple row, just double crochets. Okay, and then we're going to work our final double crochet in the top of that chain 3 there. So that's the end of row 3, and that is actually our complete stitch repeat. So all you'll be doing from now on is working these 3 rows in repeat. So it's super simple once you get the hang of it. I'll get you started on row 4 just because it's slightly different as we're not working into the chain, but then you'll just be repeating exactly as we've done. So we're going to start off with a chain 4. And that will count as our double crochet for 3 of the chains, and then our 4th chain is our chain that we make to skip the stitch. So what we're going to do here is we're going to skip this stitch here where we started our chain 4, and we're going to skip the next one, and we're going to be working into this stitch here, so what technically looks like the 3rd stitch of your work. What it really is that you've worked a double crochet in the first, you've skipped the second, and now you're working into the third. So you're going to make a double crochet into that stitch there. So that counts as a double crochet, chain one, and a double crochet. And you're going to chain one, and you're going to skip the next stitch there, and work a double crochet into the next. So you see it's super simple. You're just going to keep working exactly as you did on row one, but you're working into the stitches now instead of into the chain. Okay, so we're now at the end. I'm going to chain one, and we're going to skip that last stitch, and we're going to work a double crochet into that chain at the start. Okay, so that is it. All you're going to do now is work exactly as you did for row 2 and then row 3, and you're just going to keep repeating this until you've got the length that you want. I suggest that you finish on a double crochet row. It just makes it slightly easier to seam your cardigan when it's time. So this will be the bottom of your cardigan, and then I suggest you finish on a double crochet row at the top. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about how to make this a made to measure to suit your size. So I've got a total of 23 stitches here, and as you see, this measures about 5.5 inches across. Okay, so we're just going to do some maths to try and work out what size you'd want to do it. So if we know that this is 23 stitches and it equals 5.5 inches, we would do 23 divided by the 5.5, which gives you 4.18, lots of numbers. Now I would want to make mine a medium size, which is a 21 inch back panel. So I would times this by 21, and that would give me 87.8 stitches. So as we know, we need to work an even number of stitches to make this pattern work. So I'm going to call that 88 stitches is what I need. So therefore I'm going to chain 88 for my back panel, which would give me, should give me 21 inches. Obviously, when you've done a couple of rows, it's worth measuring. You may need to add or remove a few rows if it's not quite working out. So then I'd know that if I wanted to make 2 front panels, I'd need to get my 88 and divide it by 2. And then that would show me that for each of my front panels, I need to start off with a starting chain of 44. So that's how you get your measurements. You can apply the same to the sleeves. So for example, if I know that I want my armhole to be 8 inches, that would be a panel that is a total of 16 inches wide. So that accounts for 8 inches on the front and 8 inches on the back. So I would take my same measurement. I would take my 23 divided by 5.5 to get my 4, and I'll times that by 16. So that would give me 66.9. I might round that up to 68 stitches just to make sure I've got enough. So that's the formula you want to apply. It does mean that you can essentially use any yarn and any hook for this pattern, and just make up your swatch and then apply that same formula to your yardage and your calculations, and that will tell you how many stitches you need for the pattern. I will move on to show you how to decrease for the sleeves, but hopefully that's given you an indication of how to make each of the basic panels, and then I'll show you how to seam them all together. So I've got my sleeve panel here, and I'm going to show you how to do the decreases. So I've actually decreased about 10 stitches already from the start to where I am now, and I'm about halfway through my sleeve panel. So this will decrease quite a bit more by the end. I'll show you how to do the decreases as per my pattern, and then I'll tell you how you could decrease more if you wanted a tighter sleeve look. So we're going to keep working exactly as we have been. So we're going to chain 4, and we're going to turn our work. And then what we're going to do is, previously we've been skipping this stitch and this stitch, and then working in this sort of third stitch here. All we're going to do, really simple, is we're just going to work in the fourth. So we're going to skip this one, this one, this one, so those first three, and then work our double crochet into the fourth. So that's all you do for the decrease. So you've just skipped a stitch there. You're going to chain one, work all the way across, and then when we get to the end, we'll just be skipping 2 stitches at the end as well. So I'll work across and I'll meet you at the end just to show you what that looks like there. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row, so I've made that double crochet in that stitch. I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to skip this stitch, and I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to work my double crochet into that top of that chain, just as we have before. So it's as simple as that for your decrease rows. You're going to do that on every mesh row across the sleeve. As I said, if you wanted to skip more, if you wanted to decrease more, giving the game away, you'll just skip more throughout the row. So for example, you'd skip at the start, and then you might work 3 or 4 of your regular double crochet stitches, and then you just skip 2 stitches here, and then again probably later down here. So you're just adding more decreases to the row, which will make it more of a tapered look. So that's your decreases for the sleeve. Hopefully that all makes sense, and I will now show you how to do the join. So as you can see, I've got my back panel at the bottom here, and then my 2 front panels laid on top. So really simply, all I'm going to do is take my darning needle, and I'm going to use the mattress stitch. So go underneath, underneath there, just to sew across the top of the 2 panels. So this will be the shoulder part of the cardigan. So really simple, just back and forth. If you've got a preferred sewing method, you're absolutely welcome to do that. You could slip stitch them together if you don't want to sew, but I'm just using this. It's my preferred method to join your front and back panels across the top. So just as simple as that, that's all we're going to do. So you're just going to seam all the way across here, and then you're going to do the same on this side. You're going to seam all the way across the top there. So I've not finished my sleeve yet, but I can still show you how to do it. So what you're going to do is take your widest part of your sleeve, so where you from your starting row, and you're going to fold it in half, and then you're just going to place it on your cardigan, so you can see that that will be where your armhole goes, and then place a stitch marker on those rows of your body, and that will show you approximately where you want to seam up to before you're going to start joining your sleeve. So we can get the sleeve out of the way for now, and what we're going to do is, I've got quite a lot of ends out at the moment, but I'll weave all of those in at the end. Going to go right the way to the bottom of your very long cardigan, and you're going to line up your rows, and then you're just going to seam along the edge of your cardigan. So make sure you keep your rows lined up as you go. I'll show you how to do this in a second, but you're just going to seam all the way up to your marked stitch there, and then stop there, and we'll show you how to join the sleeve. Okay, so I'm just going to insert my needle. I'll watch that first strand that it doesn't get mixed up, and then into that chain space. So now we're on our twisted double crochet row, and we're going to just insert the needle all the way along. It doesn't need to be precise to where you place your stitches, but you want to make sure that you're sort of doing it evenly across, and that you keep your rows lined up so that your cardigan doesn't go misaligned. So again, into that double crochet row. into the chain space. Okay, so there you go. You can see that's starting to join. So all you're going to do is just keep seaming out the side of your cardigan until you reach this marked stitch for the armhole. You're going to repeat that on both sides so that your cardigan is joined at the sides and at the top, and then we'll seam the sleeves to the cardigan. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to join the sleeve to the body. So I've got my sleeve panel here, starting with the widest bit at the top, going down to the narrowest bit at the wrist section. So we're going to fold the sleeve in half. It's going to flip it over so that the join will be on the underneath of the arm. And you're then going to line up your sleeve to your armhole. Okay, so that I don't get misaligned as I'm sewing, I'm going to pin, you can use a stitch marker to pin the top of the sleeve to the top of the cardigan. So that just helps me keep this even as I go. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to join to the base of the armhole here. And tie that in a little knot so that it doesn't come undone. And then I'm going to join to the bottom of the sleeve. So just as we did with the side of the cardigan, we're just going to sew around the edge so that the sleeve joins to the body. So I'm working roughly 2 stitches per row. Just going to keep going back and forth around the edge of the sleeve. Okay, so you can see that it's joining up nicely there. So you're just going to work all the way around the sleeve, and then you're going to seam down the edge just as you did on the side panel. So that will completely join your sleeve to the body. So sew all the way around. When you get back to this point on the other side, you're just going to sew down the edge of the sleeve there. Okay, so our cardigan is completely joined together now. So just to finish off, and this step is optional, but I find it tidies up the edge of the cardigan, I'm just going to take my yarn and I'm going to join to the bottom of the cardigan. Chain 1 to secure, and then I'm just going to single crochet all the way around the edge. So I'm going to work approximately 2 single crochets at the end of each row. I'm just going to work that all the way around to get a nice neat edge to the cardigan. Okay, so you can see that's given it a nice neat edge. So you're going to work that all the way around the edge. If you want to work a couple of rows of single crochet to get a slightly wider border, you absolutely can do that. So that's going to be the end, so I will leave you there. So that's the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for following along. I hope you've enjoyed this pattern, and I'll see you next time.